Hey guys, welcome. We're going to do a little thing here to help you guys out. This is for Real Geeks. This is for anybody who's looking to grow a team or a business. We got Jason up in Canada. Why don't you take off here and just kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, and what you're doing.
Okay, cool. My name is Jason Simard. I'm the leader of the Sims Real Estate Group. We're starting our third year in real estate. In the last couple of years, we've sold $135 million worth of real estate. We've built a pretty good business, and we've built it on a simple foundation, really, which is having 3 solid marketing pillars and investing in good quality people and really focusing on high levels of action, which I think is hopefully the message that I want to get across today, is that nothing happens unless something happens. So that's me.
Cool. Todd?
Yeah, we are a smallish, mid-sized team in DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. I'm the broker owner of a small independent brokerage, so we're on our own. I've been out of production for the last 3 or 4 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. We have 2 physical offices, but we operate as one team together. As a matter of fact, everybody's here in the office today for a birthday lunch and a training that I just cut out of a little early. So in the Dallas office, we have 2 marketing specialists. That's what most people call a listing agent. And we have 3 buyer specialists. In the Fort Worth office, we have 1 of each. We have an internal client care coordinator, which is a term that we use a little bit differently than both of these guys. Our client care coordinator is really our, during the transactional period, he's our agent support and our client support. So he's making sure that our clients are getting a really great experience. Then we have a business development director and a business development agent. That's what these guys call client care, or what other people call inside sales. In our opinion, done differently, done better. And then we have what we call the OG, the office glue, Elizabeth, that sort of keeps us all together and helps run the offices and keep everybody focused. So that's our team. We are on pace right now to do a little over 200 transactions for a little over 60 million and about 2.2 million in GCI. We have a couple of really unique focuses on the marketing side, on the listing marketing process side, and we're really big on the way we position our agents to be true professionals and not traditional agents. But we can get into more of that as we dig in.
Hey, so I am Brett Baker. I own the Baker team down here in Tri-Cities, Washington, where this is our main team. We've got teams kind of all over the Pacific Northwest. Anyways, yeah, so I've been doing this for a while, and I have built a business on not as simple technique as not as simple as a technique as Jason did. I think I took the long way into this. But anyways, so basically we're on track this year. We just crossed kind of a huge landmark for us. We just crossed 50 million, which is kind of a big deal. We're on track to do a lot more than that. But we do a lot of different lead sources. We do a lot of different follow-up methods. So that's really my forte with the marketing and stuff like that. But Jason, give us a rundown of how your team operates.
All right, so we have 2 unlicensed assistants. So they run what we call our administration department, our admin team. And so what they do is they obviously take the paperwork off of us. So we have a listing coordinator, and then we have our administrative assistants. So their job is to make sure that our deals are in compliance, making sure that appointments are properly scheduled, and just really all the tedious tasks that involve detail. That's what they do for us. Then we have our secret department, which isn't that secret because we make it very public. It's our client care department. There's 3 licensed agents that work in that department now. And what they do is they're like an inside sales agent force for us. They're the first point of contact for new prospects that are coming into our business. These are from all of our different marketing methods. And what they are is they're just trained to build amazing rapport, provide quality service, quality follow-up, and ultimately focus on conversion. And then we have a sales team. So there's myself. I do the listings for the team. I oversee marketing And then I have 4 specialists who really focus on the buying side of the business. And so that is kind of how we built the business. We have departments for every facet of it. And then, you know, of course, there's the people that we bring on. Like we have a cleaner on staff that we use for our listings. And we have a stager that we bring in for listings as well. And then our different marketing crews that we hire when we need them. So that's kind of how our business is structured. 3 of those staff members, actually 4 of them are new in the last 2 months. So we've definitely focused a little bit more on expansion this year, as we have some big goals. We want to hit over 300 sales this year.
300 sales.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a goal.
Yeah.
So my team I do all the for the most part, I'm working my way out of production, which is getting there. But I still get dragged back in occasionally. We've got a total of 5 agents on the team. We use a very similar model to Jason. We have 2 client care coordinators that do just what he's saying. They're unlicensed people that basically do our initial follow-up. We just crossed over the 50 million mark. We are going to be going for, we had to reevaluate our goals. We were trying to hit 100 million this year, and now we're going to go for 210 million this year. So that's our goal for this year. We kind of implement a similar mindset. If you took my team, it is basically a good cross between what Todd does and what Jason does. Both of them actually have taught me quite a bit on how to run a team. I was a solo agent for a long time, and basically I decided to adapt Jason's 3-pillar model and Todd's approach to listings. And since we've taken Todd's approach to listings, we have basically doubled our listing production. I openly admit that we are a marketing company first, and we sell real estate second. So if you look at what we do, everything we do is coming from a marketing standpoint. Very bright, very bold, very out there. We spend a lot of money on our marketing. So main lead sources for us, obviously going to be Zillow. Zillow is huge for us here. We do a ton on Zillow, a ton through Facebook. And then we are now branching into Instagram, YouTube, etc. That's where we're getting most of our leads from. Todd, I know, is mostly like repeat client. Jason is PPC and Facebook, if I remember correctly.
Google AdWords, Facebook, and because we've really increased our listing production, we're getting a lot of business from that.
Yeah.
Of every listing and referrals. Our referral business has gone through the roof. You know, when you really have high standards and you're all about service, like what you guys have talked about, it makes a big difference. Like, it's been amazing in our 3rd year. Like, the phone is ringing a lot more this year than previous years, because I guess we're getting established and people know who we are now. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah. Todd, what is your what's your main source of business?
Yeah, we our absolute #1 consistent source would be if you combine repeat and referral business. One of our primary metrics that we're tracking and looking to grow this year is what we call our active referral rate. That's the number of referrals we get from active clients before they've even closed and funded. But our top 3 are really easy. Radio, you can combine radio and TV. We've just started to do a little bit with TV. And then pay-per-click home search leads is what we call those, almost entirely Google through Real Geeks, and then repeat and referrals. So the pay-per-click home search is what we call them, is almost always number 2, but all 3 of them are very, very close. They're each about 30% of the business. And then of course there's a bunch of sources that make up, you know, kind of the odd 10%. But those are the 3 primary marketing focus areas we have. And, you know, very similar to what you guys are saying, we think of ourselves as marketers, but the phrase we say probably the most is delivering world-class value. If we do that really well, there's going to be plenty of opportunity. So we're sort of obsessive about that. We have never historically been as hyper-focused on total units or even really total sales volume. We've been focused on clients and then, you know, appropriately net profit. And so we try to focus on the value we deliver to the client and our ability to be compensated well. So most of our fees are a little bit higher than the average for the marketplace. And so we can invest a little bit more in each transaction and get better results. And then that's what we market. Our marketing message is those results. So it's all kind of cyclical. You know, Jason is really great at keeping it simple with 3 pillars. We have a similar 3-pillar model, but I need to be reminded of how he does things to keep it on the tracks a little bit. And then Brett always reminds me to push the pedal down all the way.
Do we want to open this up to questions, or do we have a list of questions that we want to answer?
I think there's a ton of questions on the Facebook deal, but I think we should probably start with that initial post. What do you think, Brett?
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Let's pull that. Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say, okay, so I think everybody wants to know really what our, if we go back up to this initial post, which I've actually lost. But basically, I think everybody's been asking us, you know, like, how do we get a team into Real Geeks, and how do we get, basically, how are we doing the production that we're doing with Real Geeks? And so, you know, it's something that I look at. I've been with a variety of different service providers throughout the few years I've been in. I have shiny object syndrome. As Jason knows, he has tried to reel me in. Todd has also tried to reel me in. But Martin, you and I are cut from the same mold. We have shiny object syndrome. But anyways, Real Geeks for me works really well because, you know, I've got these multiple client care coordinators. So initially for me, lead comes in. It gets hit by, we use Ava. It gets hit by Ava. Ava will do the initial conversion 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. After that, it comes in to one of our 2 client care coordinators. They're going to take that lead and they're going to warm it up for us a little bit. We're going to get to know, you know, where are these people at in the home buying process. I like to say that there's 5 steps in the home buying process, and I can go into those at a later date. But basically, we like to dive in when they're further down the home buying list. So they're like, hey, we're ready to go. Those are my kind of leads. I focus on, I don't care how many leads I get. I care about how many clients I acquire and my client acquisition costs. Those are the 2 things that matter to me. How many clients do I have, and what is my client acquisition cost? And so the client care coordinators are really helping me identify who's ready to roll. From there, it's going to either get branched off to a listing agent, or it's going to get branched over to a buyer specialist. So that initially is how we set that up. After that, it goes out to one of the agents. They get into the house, they show a house, or we go and list it. Our marketing department is kind of insane. But really, you know, when we look at Real Geeks, so what do we do? So how do you set up the Real Geeks CRM for their team? Okay, so everybody on my team has a Real Geeks account. Like I said, goes in the initial client care coordinators. They're going to take that lead and reassign it over to someone that is appropriate for that lead. So that's really how it starts for us. There's no complications to that. Literally, lead comes in, lead gets converted. If it's a client, turns into a client, that person gets handed over to one of our buyer's agents or our selling agents. Pretty simple. How do we distribute leads based on what criteria? Auto, manual, ISA for different sources. Okay, so like I said, I have multi-layers. So the client care coordinators go with basically round robin. We don't weight our leads in any way, shape, or form. Our clients, it doesn't matter if it's a $50,000 home or a $5 million home. It all goes out the same way. We don't discriminate on anybody. We don't care. It goes in rotation. If someone pulls themselves out of a rotation, say they're overwhelmed, okay, it moves on to the next person. We're really simple. How many leads per agent for best results? Now that gets really tricky. So the way we look at it is there should only be about 20 to 30 in someone's Real Geeks CRM at any given time. I have found that 30, anything more than 30, my agents are losing their minds. So if the conversion comes over to them and they can't close that client within a matter of 30 days, we hand it back to the client care coordinators and we let them keep reworking it for us until they're ready to go. But 20 to 30, no more than that. Anybody that's like, I get 400 leads a month, good for you. You can't follow up with all of them. How do we hold agents accountable? Wow, that's a really good question. I'm not as good at that because, quite frankly, I just don't have a ton of time to really focus on that. All of my agents are doing really well. When they start struggling, they'll come to me and tell me flat out, hey, I'm having a hard time. Hey, here's where my struggles are. How can you help me through that? But for the most part, I don't really need to hold them accountable. They're holding themselves accountable. And more importantly, we use CTE, Commitment to Excellence. Todd, you're using that. Jason, yep. I think you're using that. So anyway, so we use that system, and I can track in there how they're doing. If they're not on track for the quarter, okay, and then we have a chat. We work on giving them the tools they need to get them back on track. So that's kind of my breakdown of the 1 through 4 there. I mean, it's nothing special. We just take it to a different level with the client care coordinators were huge for us. I mean, literally that has been a game changer for me. Jason, I owe you a big thank you for that one. Who wants to go next, Todd or Jason?
Go ahead, Jason.
All right, cool. So our team uses 2 CRM systems right now. We use Real Geeks for basically our client care department, our main lead generation sources, and then our agents are using Follow Up Boss. If I could go back in time, though, I would just have everybody using Real Geeks. That was my fault because I knew how to use Follow Up Boss previously, and so my bad. I didn't take the time to learn Real Geeks. So anybody listening, you don't need 2 CRM systems for this. Real Geeks can do everything you need it to, and you can save yourself a bit of money. How to distribute leads. So how I do it is I have everything funneled through our client care department, and it just goes on a lead rotation. So it goes to one, then the next, then the other. And I want all of the leads from our company to go to that department. The reason being is they've been trained, they're specialists, they're all licensed on my team, so they can provide a lot of value, they can give advice, they can do a lot for us. And I want every single lead going through that department because that's their job and their focus. And in our company, it's very important that all leads are properly vetted for motivation levels. Do they have homes they'll need to sell first? Ideal timeframes. Pre-approval, making sure that they're solidly pre-qualified. That's very important. Once that's been established, a client care manager is going to be transitioning that to one of our agents. If it's a listing opportunity, that's where I come in. I take care of those opportunities, and I'm very good at converting. And then our buyer specialists, that's where they'll come in when it's a buyer that's actively looking. But that is our process that we follow. Every client has generally, on the buying side, has a client care manager attached to them. The reason being is we can give a much higher level of service. If you're looking for a home right now, for example, Todd, and we're out in appointments, well, we're not gonna be able to give you lightning fast response times. However, having a client care department open 7 days a week of licensed realtors, they'll get back to you within minutes. So I always partner a client up with somebody in our client care department to give them that higher level of service so they know that there's a team always working for them. And I've found that by providing specialists, not jack of all trades, it's kind of allowed us to sort of stand out in the marketplace. And I think that's really important for our core values, is that we know what we're good at and we stick within that. I am not great at administration. I'm the first to admit that. But what I'm really good at is I'm really good with people. I'm really good at converting, marketing, training. Those are my strengths. So I work within those 95% of the time. And, a lot of people get frustrated because it seems so simple what we do. The thing is, it's very simple to establish these standards and these departments. The hard part is the hard work that goes into actually converting leads. Too many people ask questions about, oh, what CRM system should I use? What drip campaign should I have? The reality of it is most of our drip campaigns are the saved searches that we're setting up for clients that are sending them detailed properties that are exactly what they're looking for. It's us trying to provide value. So we've created content that we can send those clients that are valuable. But ultimately, there's no perfect email campaign. You can't just copy Brett's email campaigns and have success. You can't copy my email campaigns and have success because ours are super hyper focused on the areas that we serve. And I'm a huge fan of good marketing. Make yourself stand out, set your standards high. One thing that I've learned from Todd, and they're very similar values to mine, is set yourself as the leader in your marketplace. Provide more value, provide more to every single client that you touch, and they're going to tell their friends and family. And I haven't charged more for the services we offer yet. We charge the fair market rate. But I believe that with the amount of value that we do offer, we could charge more. And that's something that, Todd, I know you do really well, is that you focus on your net profitability. You're open about that with clients, but then you focus on the fact that you can out-deliver the competition because you can provide so much more value. And I believe that same thing. I just don't charge extra for it yet. So how to hold agents accountable, that's not my favorite thing. Look, at the end of the day, my belief is if I have to micromanage you, I've made a poor hiring decision. And that's the way my philosophy is with my business. I need people that are leaders, that are self-motivated, and that are going to take things and run with them. I do not micromanage people. I empower people to make decisions. I don't care if you make mistakes. Try something. Just as long as it's not breaking compliance, you're fine. Try something. The worst thing that'll happen is you'll learn from some failure or adversity that you had. But I empower people. So every department, I empower people to be leaders. And myself, sorry, I'm just trying to read these questions, make sure I answer all the points. You can add more questions here. Okay, good. So yeah, there you go. I empower people to make decisions, and I encourage that. That's a big part of our culture. So everybody here is paid on a profit share program on top of their compensation that we've negotiated, which means they want to go above and beyond to provide extra value to every client because they'll benefit from that in the end as well. So that's a big, big part of our culture is everybody here is treated like a business partner. That's always communicated to our clients, and so they know what they're going to get into. Over to you, Todd.
Yeah, let me run through these questions and then we'll try to open up some time for some other follow-ups. We set our CRM up very simply. Simple is a word that I try to repeat constantly. I just don't need any more complication than is required. I do think you need as much as required though, right? There's some sophistication to our businesses, but no more than is necessary. And so our CRM is set up for the most part on a basic round robin. Our seller valuation leads tend to go to our business development manager because they tend to be longer follow-up type deals. But our home search leads go directly to our buyer specialist, which is different than how both of these guys have theirs set up. Now, in our state, it's very, very clear and it's highly regulated that anybody that's going to have any interaction with the prospect has to be licensed. So there's a few things that we sort of don't even want to play in the gray area on. But I'm also a big fan of having people in-house and having direct relationships with the client. That doesn't mean we would never look at something like Ava. We've looked into it. We're probably going to give that a test at some point. But as far as what we call a business development manager and our business development agent, they are also prospecting and following up with leads in order to alleviate the issues with response time and things with agents. But each of our agent is also on the round robin rotation. Now, my belief is that about one lead a day is good for a buyer specialist, but we do a couple of things that are a little bit different than these guys. Each agent on our team has what we call their top 90. That means at any one time, they can have up to 90 home search leads that they're sort of responsible for. Now, they can also call, in addition to that 90, we call that the well. They can call the well. So we have 14,000 plus potential home buyer leads, home search leads in the well. And that's something that they would jump on the dialer and pound out. Their top 90, every week to 2 weeks, they may have 4 or 5 that has sort of gone cold, and they may have called the well of those excess leads that nobody's personally assigned to, and they might have warmed up 4 or 5. So they'll sort of swap them out so that they're always keeping around 90 that they are personally following up with, staying on top of. And that works out really well for us in our state and our model. But our business development manager and our business development agent are also trying to set appointments for them constantly. And most agents on our team will have at least 1 or 2 appointments a week that somebody else has set for them. That way, if they've set 1 or 2 or 3 on their own, then they're killing it. Our big goal last year and most years is that every single agent on our team makes $100,000 or more. We hit that last year and had a blast. And so obviously this year we're aiming for more. But that's basically how the CRM is set up. We allow it to send home search emails, property emails. We do the automated text response, but we do almost no additional drip email. We don't do any more out of Real Geeks. Obviously, agents are sending one-off emails and text for follow-up, as well as a lot of phone calls. The phone is always option 1, but text generates a lot of response. That's how we set it up. That's how we distribute it. there's really no criteria for the round robin, but we do have some criteria when it comes through the business development managers or whatever somebody else would call an ISA. And if there's a personality, a life stage, a geographic area, because we're in a huge geographic area where a team member has a unique gift or a lot of experience or a great track record, then yeah, we are on occasion going to volley one over to a person that could serve them at a higher level, that lives right around the corner, that's sold a bunch in like 3 days over there. Our big promise is that we guarantee to sell homes over the average price and under the average time. So we want to put them with an agent that's got the highest likelihood of delivering on that. How many leads per agent? We talked about that. I feel like for a buyer specialist, 1 a day is plenty. Too much more than that, and they're not going to be able to follow up. But even at that number, they're only ever really keeping 90 or so in their personal, stewardship and their personal management. Agent accountability is pretty high for us. Now, I totally agree with Jason on people need to be able to motivate and lead themselves, but we have such an integrated team we specialize the same way. You only work with buyers or only work with sellers. And then we market ourselves as a team of specialists. And on the radio and TV and in presentations in my books, when I speak, things like that, I'm constantly talking about our team as a team of specialists, a lot like an accounting firm or a law firm or a medical office, where the dentist doesn't come out and take your insurance, right? The same accountant doesn't do tax and audit and corporate, and attorneys don't do civil and criminal. You specialize. So our agents do that. Not only do they specialize in only buyer or only seller, they also niche down even further. So we have marketing specialists that only work with sellers who work with homes with pools or homes on a golf course or homes on land. It doesn't mean they only have one, but they don't have more than 2 or 3. So I don't want to filibuster too much here. We do one-on-one agent meetings every week. We have a team training meeting every Thursday. We have a buyer impact zone meeting every Tuesday. We have a marketing listing agent impact zone meeting every Monday. And then I have a coaching and consulting group that I do some training for, that my team members and agents are on pretty much all those calls and the online modules. And Brett's laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about there. Brett's on those calls too. And last night, Brett, I'll give you a little respect on our coaching call this week. Brett shared what he just shared, that his team just passed 50 million in the first quarter. And I got a call from one of our agents last night that said, "Hey dude, how does Brett's team do $50 million in the first quarter?" I was like, well, we'll talk tomorrow. they're pretty good. They're pretty good. Yeah. So, those are my answers to sort of the standard questions. So hopefully that gives everybody listening and watching a clear idea of how unbelievably similar all 3 of these models are in some ways, and then how very, very different they are. I mean, Jason's in another country, so obviously there's some different standards. All 3 of our markets are different price points. Our fee structures are different, and they should be. Everybody shouldn't just copy someone else. So that's what I tell my team members and other team leaders and brokers that I do any consulting with or whatever, is that you need to build the business around your life, the life you want, the family you have, the kids you have, the gifts you have. We're all really gifted at different things, and we're all really terrible at different things. So don't pick one of us and copy it. Take bits and pieces. But what you do have to do, and I was using Brett as an example yesterday in our coaching group, you have to actually implement. You have to test it. And that's what Jason was saying. Go make mistakes. Don't violate any laws. Try something. If it doesn't work, do something else. But you can't just gather all this information and then say, oh, that's overwhelming, and then not do anything. So there's my soapbox. Let's take some other questions.
I think, hang on. Okay. So I think the thing that I see a lot, so we have questions popping up that are like, what is your lead to deal ratio from
who cares?
Ratio page? I mean, I hate to say this, but so we look at things like this and we go, I have no idea. That doesn't, my lead to deal ratio, I don't know. I get 40 or 50 leads a day. Honestly, I don't even look at a lead until it's basically until I can convert it. I don't consider it a lead until it's converted. To me, leads are, that doesn't, I mean, I don't know. That just doesn't, I don't even pay attention to that. Client acquisition cost means so much more to me than anything else. How much am I paying for a client? Todd, how are your agents accessing the well?
Yeah, let me explain that. I saw a couple of questions on that. So just to be really clear, each agent has their own top 90, which means about 90. Obviously, that's plus their personal sphere of influence, right? So if you go to a bunch of open houses and generate leads, I mean, those are you develop those. There's some company systems, but that's your database, your sphere. You have 90 or so team generated, recent home search leads or radio leads or whatever that is. The well is everything else that the team has generated that is sort of the community pot. And those are, a lot of them are in Real Geeks. Others of them are in Infusionsoft, but don't worry about that so much. They're basically loaded into our dialer. We use Vulcan 7. Mojo's great. Don't get overwhelmed by that stuff too. That's where almost all these questions are, is what should I do? Do something. Try one. Try something else. But I don't care what dialer you use. We use Vulcan 7. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands of phone numbers and names and information in there. So if you're working your top 90 really well, and only if you're working your top 90 really well and you have some more time to prospect, you should jump in the dialer, pick a list. It could be date specific, area specific, lead source specific, and then spend 90 minutes or so pounding out a bunch of calls. And if you, in that 90 minutes, let's just say you warmed up 6 really good opportunities, you set one appointment, you got 5 really good, like, hey, in the next 30 days, maybe, then you can sort of claim those and throw 5 or 6 back, right? Say, hey, I've got 5 or 6 in my top 90 that are sitting kind of flat. I'll throw those back. I'll take these 5 or 6 that I just warmed up. So the shortest answer to that question is they're in the dialer. They're team leads that nobody is personally assigned to right now. The business development agents can call those, our buyer specialist, our marketing specialist. And that could be everything from a home search lead, a radio lead, a TV lead, an expired, a for sale by owner, a sign call, a website opt-in, an event attendee, a seller valuation. It could be anything. Now they're categorized, so you know what you can choose what you prospect, and you can try to cherry pick, which is a bad idea, but you can try that if you want.
One of the questions in there was, what is the client acquisition cost? Jason, do you track that?
I don't track client acquisition. I wish I did, but I mean, I can tell you my net profit for my business model, because I'm very growth focused, because I'm just in my first 2 years of business, but 39% was my profit last year. And look, I know that I could make that number a lot higher, but I'm making strategic investments in people, and I have a system and a plan. So my goal is to be able to find a way to exit production in the next 3 years. So in order to do that, I have to make proper investments in different parts of the business, having solid foundations, branding, marketing. So we're absolutely profitable. Everything we're doing is profitable. And we have good 6 figures always in the bank. So that's good. But 39% was sort of our net profitability. First year was 37, second year was around 39. And that's where we're at. And look, there's coaches out there that'll tell you you should have 60%, 55, whatever. But here's the thing. I'm growth focused right now. I have a very detailed plan. So I'm not nickeling and diming things, and I'm not net income focused. I'm growth focused right now, so I can do this properly. And so you just got to know what your areas of focus are.
And you're investing in your people. You want them to be there for a long time. You care about them. It's not about shaving 1 or 2% off your margin. It's about investing in people that want to work with you for a long, long time, and that want to go the extra mile to take care of people. And listen, everyone and their brother can jump in a Facebook chat forum and throw out percentages. Your profit margin will be massive with a small number of transactions. It could be massive at a big number of transactions, but probably not for very long. Even in these people that are following very tight models from very specific books, are not doing either one or both of what you just said, which is they're not in a rapid growth mode, or they're not deeply investing into the health of a long-term business. They're yanking every dollar out of that thing they can to buy stupid stuff. Maybe not. Maybe they're investing in, healthy stuff. I don't know. But my point is, you need to measure that. You need to have a healthy number there, but you need to be careful that you're living and dying for a certain margin, and you're leaving bodies along the road, along the way, of people that are just cogs in your wheel. That's not good business, man. Don't do that. Don't do that. Brett,
So,
it's like you had a comment, and then we have a question that I'll throw out for all three of us.
yeah. So my client acquisition costs, mine really depends on lead source, I should say. So if you look at like my Zillow leads, they're going to be different than my Facebook leads, which are going to be different than my, organic leads, my leads that are coming in through the various community videos and integration that I do. So it really depends. The way that I look at, is my lead source working for me? Everybody goes, well, I mean, how do you know when to spend more money? Where is that limit where you go, I'm making the most I can from this lead source? To me, I look at it and go, when what I'm spending on each client is not giving me the return that I need to see for my model. So everybody goes, well, you spend like $300 a lead on Zillow. And I stand back and go, yeah, I don't care. I mean, I made $7,700 off of it. That doesn't bother me. So I don't necessarily care what I pay a lead. And everybody's like, I got a 40-cent lead. I'm like, cool. How long did it take to convert that? And they go, we didn't. It's like, so you didn't get a 40-cent lead. So that to me is useless. But anyway, so that was my answer to that one. The next question someone had was, what reporting inside Real Geeks do you use? I don't at all, literally none. Like I said, and I think Todd and Jason do the same thing. I mean, yeah, I use Commitment to Excellence. So that's software that I use to hold people accountable, but I don't use reporting or anything like that. Tabs that I have. Yeah. What reporting inside Real Geeks do you use? Are there certain advanced search defaults that you have tabbed? No. Mine, I sort everything by date of activity. So the last active date. That's literally the only sort that I have my people do, which is weird.
We do use some saved searches. And if a lot of you guys already have our home search follow-up system. I gave it away when I did the hangout with Jeff. If you want it, what's the website? Todds7secrets.com. I think TODDS, the number 7 secrets.com. I think that's it. If that's not it, that'll send you something else for free, and you can reply back and ask for this. But I've given it away, and I'm happy to give it to anybody else. But basically what it is it's who we call back and how many times and what day we call them. And those are the only safe searches we have. It's basically quick searches to say, is somebody 1 to 3 days old, 4 to 10 days old, 10 to 30, or 30 plus. And the only reason we do that is because our agents are trying to call so many people that they call certain chunks on certain days. And it's just annoying and inefficient to redo those searches all the time. Now, we do that because we want to be thorough and work every lead. But if I only had 5 minutes to call leads, I would call the most recently active, like Brett's saying. So those are the valuable ones, the people that are already identifying, raising their hand. I want something. I'm searching. I'm hungry. I'm looking. There's no doubt about that. But I don't ever want to have a pool of leads 10 to 30 days old that get overlooked and they don't get called for 4 months. And because of some of the licensing rules in our state, that has to be a licensed person calling. So that's the way we map it out. And I'm happy to share that with people, but you can copy it. But again, what all three of us would tell you is copy it if you want, but also modify it. Build this around you. Our agents are in the office every day. We huddle at 8:30 a.m. We prospect from 9 to 11:30. We have impact zone meetings. We have training meetings. We have role play. We have online training modules. And that's all, by the way, I'm not like a big coach or whatever. I offer some coaching and consulting, but all I offer is jump in with our team. You can be on our team training calls. You can see the modules that my team members use. And that's what we do. So there is some structure, there is some saved deals in there, but we're not tracking like client acquisition cost in Real Geeks. We're not tracking speed to lead in Real Geeks. We're just hustling all the time. And it's not this beat down of a grind. We're just trying to keep it simple. Let me say one other thing about something Brett just said, just to illustrate how different we are on some things. There's a question that I ask myself when it comes to an ideal client. I always want to be thinking about the lifetime value of a client and not just, can I earn a commission today? And so a key question that I ask as a marketer is, it's not how little can I spend to acquire a client. Sometimes I ask, how much could I afford to spend to attract my ideal client, right? Now, that's crazy talk if all you're ever doing is chatting on Facebook and going to masterminds about lowest possible lead cost. And Brett didn't say it, but I read it on his face. When people talk about 20-cent leads, Brett wants to open hand slap you across the head. And the reason is he doesn't even call that a lead. That's of no value until someone has indicated that they're motivated and they have the ability to buy or sell. Now, that doesn't mean it's not worth nurturing over the long haul, but just because someone gave you a phone number or a fake one doesn't mean they're going to do anything or there's any value there. That's sort of a suspect, not even a prospect, certainly not a lead, certainly not a deal. What I'm saying is, if I can have my ideal client reach out to me, assuming my authority, my credibility, my celebrity, my expertise, starting out with trust and willing to follow my leadership, my question is, how much could I afford to invest in them coming to me and saying, tell me what to do. I want to be led by somebody like you. So now I don't want a $6 lead. I might be looking to say, if I spent $500, will that guy spend the next 35 years trusting me and telling his friends to trust me? Because now I own a business and I'm not just grinding leads.
Can I make a comment about cost per lead?
Absolument.
I spend about $1,500 on a listing, and this is like an everyday listing. I don't care if it's 100,000, 300,000, a million. I do luxury marketing on every single listing, and I had one recently that was a $234,000 listing, and we did a really good job marketing this home. We were able to get multiple offers, sold it for asking price, but it's all the details we put into that marketing. So that $1,500 turned into 3 new listings, 2 new buyers, and really, people would be like, oh, you spent $1,500 on a listing. Oh my God, that's a lot of money. I don't do that. I spend, just a few $100s on a listing. Awesome. Good for you. I've done 102 deals this year. It's first quarter. And I can tell you it's because I don't cut corners and because I'm focused on doing the right thing every single time. And so investing properly in a listing, I don't think people make a big enough deal about their listings. You really need to make sure that your listings are getting maximum exposure. Don't cut corners, because those listings are where a lot of our business is starting to come from. And I can tell you, if you nickel and dime that, you're going to get less calls. And it's a representation of your brand. So I'm a huge fan of doing things right. Don't cut corners. Todd, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Jason, when you spend all that money on one listing, when the listing sells, does all that marketing go down the toilet and it's gone forever?
No.
Oh, so when you spend money to market that one property and you sell it, then forever and ever and ever, the investment you made continues to be bait and incentive and affirmation of your process, your system, and your success, right? So you're not only investing it in that property, you're investing it in that client's experience, the 2 listings, the 2 buyers you'll get from it, hopefully. Not everybody's going to do that well. But then you're investing in what I call marketing landmines, right? You're just putting mines out there all over the place, and people can stumble upon those and go, wow, look at the video on this house. It was 3 years ago, but when I sell my house, I want a video like that. When I sell my house, I want someone to write a description like Brett Baker's team writes descriptions. When I sell my house, I want all that crazy over the top audio, video, Facebook, website, blog post, direct mail. It's so short-sighted to try to save $47 or $400 when that is an opportunity to tell the world what you're capable of. Now, this gets tricky on the buyer side, because I think sometimes people are short-sighted on the buyer side too, but the buyer side could be almost anonymous. The marketing side is such a huge long-term opportunity for us. You want to start thinking like Jason was just talking about. What other questions do we have?
I was going to say I do what Jason does as well with the videos. we don't do as much per listing. I don't want to say per much. We don't do the video level that Jason's doing per listing. We take our focus and we're actually focusing on community. And what I mean by that is we have a series called Spotlight on Tri-Cities, and it's us giving back to the community, if you would. And so we go in and we have literally on our staff, we have a video crew. That is literally their job description is video people. They go out and they find these businesses for us, and we go interview them about their business. I don't talk about real estate. I don't talk about what we do. I talk about what their business does, because their business, the better they do, the better we all do. We're a smaller town here. We've got about 300,000 people in our cities combined. And the better those small businesses do, the better we do as an industry. And so, I mean, I get phone calls on those all the time. I mean, literally all the time. Messages, emails, phone calls, the whole 9 yards about, hey, saw your video on this. Hey, can you help us with our home type of thing? And that's paying off in big dividends. But Jason nailed it. I mean, Jason really nailed it. We spend a stupid amount of money on our listings, and I don't care, because at the end of the day, that's going to come back to us tenfold with other people seeing what we're doing. So when people see our hot pink cars driving around, or they see our branding, people go, why do you spend so much money to do this kind of stuff? Who cares? And I say that people care. People care when they see us driving around. They recognize me at Costco. They're like, hey, you're that dude that uses pink on your signs and stuff. Yeah, that's me. So we spend a ton of money on marketing. I mean, literally, I cannot. Everybody goes, why do you do this? What are you doing? I'm digitally farming. You guys send postcards. I think postcards are lame. I won't send postcards. But what I will do is digitally market, because now that's a footprint that's there forever. So I'm weird like that. Todd, I know, does more traditional marketing. Todd, you're basically your client hub, if you would. Your past client hub is brilliant. And I have used that like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, and I'm trying to grow up and be a big boy like Brett on the sort of branded community building. And we do a lot more digital stuff than we talk about, but I just know that that's not where my core giftedness is, right? So I'm willing to model and learn in that category. I'm an old school direct response guy. We do pretty well with radio. We're tinkering with TV. I've got a radio show. I've written books, more traditional media. I like Facebook because of the ability to target really well. I just think a lot of people get sort of drunk on quantity with Facebook, and they don't do well at driving high quality with Facebook. Pay-per-click to me is sort of a happy medium. I can buy consistency by buying that traffic, but I need to be sending that traffic to a really good capture site with good copy and value-oriented stuff. So yeah, we're modeling a lot of what Brett does. I mean, let's just stop for a second and say, you can hear all three of us talking about how we're modeling each other. And the reason we jumped on this together is because we know each other, because we're checking in with each other and saying, how are you doing? How did you do that? Who did you use? Who could you connect me with? Hey, you should check out what's working for me. And that's how business owners grow. So if you're watching this, great way to plug in and get some of that. Maybe you should teach the next one and teach us what you're doing really well. But I want to model the community building deal. We have a video guy, not full-time like you guys, but we've got a guy half day a week. And we pound out videos every Thursday morning. It was this morning. We did a bunch of those. And then we release those throughout the week. But we want to get better at the property video like Jason and the community building like Brett. What we've done fairly well is maintain our relationship with our community and our raving fans and friends of friends, and build our audience, several ways there. One thing I'll add, just because we're talking about team and team structure, and there's some questions that have danced around it in the Facebook deal, is our team members. I train our team members and really our coaching and consulting clients too to manage their teams this way. Jason has sort of the three pillars of his business. We use three pillars a little bit differently. And with an agent on our team, we tell them they need to build a three-pillar business. Pillar one is basically what the team is going to provide to you. Those are going to be appointments, past clients that are circling back. If you're a buyer specialist, and a marketing specialist picks up a listing and that those people need to buy, that's basically going to get handed to you. That's the first pillar. The second pillar are team generated opportunities, whether that's a home search lead, a seller valuation, a radio call, someone that's read one of my books or heard me speak or something. That's the opportunity is going to be handed off, and then you need to hustle and convert that. And then the third pillar is your personal sphere of influence. So that's how we sort of split up how an agent on our team builds their business within our business. And we train and resource in all three pillars, but there's obviously varying degrees of what that agent needs to do to convert. That's a little bit different than these guys, but all three of these models will work. And hopefully that answers some of those, sort of hovering questions out there.
Sorry, I had to step out for a sec there. I'm back.
What's that?
Sorry, I had to step out for a quick second. I'm back.
You're forgiven. Jason, I linked your Facebook page into the group. Someone was asking for it, so I linked that in for you.
Okay, cool.
Is there any specific questions that you have for any one of us? I mean, like I said, we're all doing stuff that's a little bit outside the box, but I think what all three of us will all stand back and say is we don't overanalyze, a lot of different things. Stacy had asked, like, what are our thoughts about what Facebook announced this morning? I don't build my business based on what other companies do. So, for example, I'm in a point now in my business where, let's say tomorrow Zillow was like, by the way, we're out. See you guys later. Okay, great. We've built up enough that we can survive without that. I think a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket, and they forget that there are so many different sources to be able to get out and be able to, get new clients. And so for us, let's say Facebook today said no more advertisers. All right, that's fine. We'll keep doing what we're doing because, like with our community videos, we're not advertising those. That's direct people. I mean, we're not even talking about real estate on those, because what we found is that people don't actually like real estate pages. They feel they're going to get bombarded with stuff. So we don't even target those people. Now we retarget to them, but that's a different story. So, I think the thing is, I think a lot of people will sit back and go, well, this is changing, and everybody goes into a panic on it. It's like, well, if you've built a 3-pillar business like what Jason and Todd are talking about, you don't have to worry about that. So for me, I stand back and I say, okay, Facebook dies tomorrow. They stop letting advertisers advertise. That's cool. I think I can stand back and say, great, Zillow still stands, and I can keep doing my community videos, and I'm going to keep getting clients that way. Zillow dies, I got my other 2 pillars to stand on. So someone had a question in here about physically sell 180 homes.
It was 135, just so for that, on 180. So here's how I did it. First things first, when I started the business, in my first 3 weeks, I hired an assistant. And I know that's crazy, but I knew that if I was spending my time doing administrative work, which I'm not good at, it would take me away from the sales activities. And I knew that my focus was going to be super action-based. And so that was my number one thing, is I hired an assistant so I could leverage administration off my plate, so I could literally spend my entire time prospecting. And so anybody that works at my brokerage, because I started off, I had my office in the brokerage, I would have a headset on, I'd look like a boy band member, and I would literally be prospecting all day, every day. They'd hear me down the halls, I'd get noise complaints because the walls are super thin, and agents were like, who's this guy? And I was just focused on my activities, which was following up. Secondly, about 4 months in, I hired my first, what I called client care manager, and I used it as a training ground for this person to become a realtor. Their job was just to passively follow up with the opportunities that came in and make sure that they were teed up for me as an agent. So that was one of the training grounds that I used for our client care department. That person became an agent within about 4 months. So July, I think they started in July of that year. And so in July of that year, that person was in production, and they contributed to that number. But collectively, between the 3 of us, we did about 135 ends in our first year. In our second year, last year, there was about 3 agents in production, and we had 1 agent in our client care department for most of that year. And then for half the year, we had a second person. So last year we did 208 transactions, And then this year we've done about 102 so far. So we're on pace to hit our goal of 300. That's what we're trying to do. But leverage is the key. Know what you're good at. I know what I'm good at, and I work within that all the time. And I keep it super simple by having consistent lead sources coming in from our pillars every single day, every single month, every single week. I have opportunities. We can build a very predictable pipeline, and we just consistently stay focused, and we're just always looking to be towards mastery on those pillars. And I can say this with confidence. Our first year, we weren't masters. Our second year, we weren't masters, and we're not masters yet in any of our pillars, but we're working towards that. And it's sort of that whole ever evolving, how do I get better? How do I continue to raise the envelope? How do I push the standards higher and higher? And I'm striving to be an influencer, not somebody that's influenced by others. But I'm also very smart, and I surround myself with good people that I know are excellent at things that I'm not, that I can pick their brains and that I can learn from. And checking your ego is a big part of building a successful business. You have to understand what you're good at, but then also what you're not. And then where can you start learning? And that's what I'm continually investing in is myself. And I've got these great collaborative relationships with guys like Brett and Todd, where we can mastermind and just share ideas. And there's other people that aren't in this video that we also share with. And it's just about helping each other get better. And we always come at it from a unique perspective. And that's what's great about it, because what works exactly for me might not work exactly for Todd, but Todd can take inspiration from some of the things that I'm doing, and vice versa. Brett's super analytical. And so with him, I always am challenging him to simplify things because he's almost too smart. And so keep it real simple, Brett. It's like, dude, it's the basics that are going to work for you. And so on the flip side, he's probably challenging me to be more technical because I'm not super technical in the way I approach business. So there you go.
Yeah. And one of the last things I would add real quick is just on what you just said is I think one of the better explanations of some of the success you're seeing here is people that are willing to continually learn, right? So like I have a coaching and consulting group for the things that I'm really good at, right? Like Brett does coaching and consulting with me. Brett also coaches. Like every one of us is constantly learning, but at the same time, we're teaching and training our team or maybe other agents or whatever. I'm in two masterminds, one real estate specific and one not, that I pay a bunch of money for to go and be taught and learn and rub shoulders with good people. And then I'm constantly seeking out guys like this that have just become buddies. We use the same platform, so we can swap ideas and things on that. It's a very dangerous day when you start saying, I don't need to learn anymore. Your team members will probably start bailing out the day you stop growing because they're going to catch you or they're going to pass you. So Jason's humility there, just talking about a constant willingness to grow and serve, is also coupled with him saying, I'm smart enough to surround myself with people that will, compensate for my areas of weakness. Right. And he's exactly right about Brett. I mean, Brett will work like 40 hours straight, hammering out a solution to what to everyone else will seem like an itty bitty problem. But to Brett that's a rock in the shoe. That's a hiccup in the system. And that's how you get to $50 million or 104 transactions in the first quarter, is you keep working at it. You solve the problems, you ask for help. And then when you get really good, you share, So anyway, I'm always impressed and humbled by both of you guys and your willingness to do both things, be willing to learn and also willing to share. I know I've benefited, and I want to hopefully do the same. And I appreciate both of you guys and your generosity in that area.
Well, we appreciate you. You push us towards balance, which when I met Brett last year, oh my God, Brett, I don't think you knew what balance was. And here was, Todd, who had balance. He had a good family life, had good income, had a good solid business that was making revenue. And I was like, hey, Brett, if you got hit by a Coke truck tomorrow, what's going to happen to your business? And he's like, oh my God, I would just fall apart. And so ever since then, he's been obsessed. And it's crazy how much you've actually put into play from what we talked about. And that's one of the things that makes you super successful, Brett, is the fact that you can take feedback and you'll actually implement super high levels of action. And I know that I have been trying to implement some of the things that you've done really well, Todd, which is to bring more balance into my business. And it's not going as good as I wanted to yet because I still don't have balance, but it's improving. I don't work Sundays now. That's a new thing that I've implemented.
Yeah.
And now I reactively work on Sundays, but I'm not proactively booking appointments on Sundays. And I had a small win the other day. I had a client that wanted to come in at 5 o'clock, and I was like, "Hey, can we do 4:30? That actually would work even better." And they were like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh my God." So I'm going to be able to be home for dinner. That's incredible. So yeah, small victories for everybody, but certainly I respect both of you. You both have strengths that I don't have yet. And I'm certainly looking forward to working on those areas.
I think this is, I mean, when you sit back and you say, we got 3 very unique teams. All of us, we all run something a little bit different. We all focus different ways. And you take us and you put us together, and it's kind of, you can learn a lot from the 3 of us. But these guys hit it on the head. Like when you step back and you say, where do I want my business in 5 years? Okay. So Jason goes, well, what happens when you get hit by a Coke truck? What happens to your business? I literally can tell you, I didn't sleep for 72 hours. Like, I mean, maybe passed out occasionally, but for like 72 hours straight, I hammered out my plan of like, hey, I got to work 5 years toward today. I want to know in 5 years, where am I going to be and what am I going to be doing and what's that going to look like? And Todd, you preached that on the call the other day, is where do you want to be in 5 years? And start there and work backward to today. And I did that. And I realized what I needed to do moving forward. And yeah, am I mostly out of production at this point? Absolutely. Am I totally out of production? I don't know if I'll ever totally be out of production. I like having my hands in it a little bit, but I'm at the point now where, I mean, I'm going to be in Vegas at a summit this next week, and I don't know if I'm going to check my phone, which is kind of a big deal for me. Yeah, that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal for you, Brett. Like 8 months ago when I met you, there's no way.
No. And I would say, I'm going to see these 2 guys in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, down in Dallas. So it's, I'm sure we'll have a lot to share, and we're going to have a good time doing that. But the 2 people on this call are 2 people that Todd and Jason are the 2 people that if you can sit back and say, hey, what are these guys doing that is just, how are they doing what they're doing? Those are the 2 you need to watch. You can watch me, but I change what I'm doing a lot. But I mean, my focus is obviously branding and marketing. I do coach as well, like Todd does. And I'm going to post a link into the Real Geeks group here, and I'll put it on the YouTube video as well when this is replayed. Basically, I have some stuff that I want to give away to people. Todd, I think you have stuff that you like giving away as well.
Sure, we can put that on there too.
Yeah, but we can put that in there. And it's basically, how we're doing our videos, what we're using, the blueprints that we're doing for our style of videos. I don't know if Jason has that kind of a blueprint, but if he does, that'd be sweet. Because people like like Oliver, my video guy, he would eat that up. But I think what we're all trying to tell you is differentiate yourself. Don't try to focus on what everybody else is doing. You can take bits and pieces of the 3 of us, and you would have an incredibly successful business. And that's how I built my business. I looked at Mark Martin. I looked at Todd. I looked at Jason. I even looked at Jeff Manson. I looked at how he built Real Geeks. And then I stood back and said, well, how do I take this to a different level? And so that's why I did. My background's in marketing, so that's how I did what I did. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. Anybody have anything else to add? Todd, Jason?
I think you kind of nailed it on the head. Keep it simple. Stop overanalyzing everything. Analysis paralysis is what kills everybody from achieving their potential in business and life, because they overthink everything and they're worried about what other people think, or they're trying to be perfect. None of us are perfect. That's one thing we all have in common, is we're not perfect. We're far from it, but we're evolving, and we believe in the things that we do, and we put the actions behind them, and then we adjust course as we go along. So if you're one of those people that's just waiting for the perfect drip campaign before you do anything, you're going to be waiting the rest of your life while we just lap you. And that's the difference. We're not smarter than you. We're not better than you. We're just executing better than some of you. And some of you may be executing better than us, and we'd love to have you on this call in the future, because that's how we'll all.
Yep. Only thing I'll add, because you guys nailed it, is just we're all doing this with really great people. You're not going to do it alone. Like, the greatest investment you can make is in your growth and the growth of your people and finding great people. And you heard each of us say that in one way or another. So that's my last thought, is just, look, we have a lot to share, but we've learned from a lot of people. There are agents and staff and spouses and family that support us and work with us that allow us to do this. You cannot do it on your own. You can be a solo agent and do well, but if you want to build a big team or a brokerage or big revenue, humble yourself, get good people around you, treat them well, take great care of them, learn from them. You'll have a heck of a lot more fun. You'll sleep better at night. You'll last longer, and you'll own a business instead of having the business own you. So that's all I got.
Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. Surround yourself.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.